Well, let's call this Village Board meeting of June 15th, 2020 to order. And we will ask our clerk, Brian Feary, to take the roll, please.
Mayor Holland.
Here.
Trustee Borelli. Is absent. Trustee Clavio.
Here.
Trustee Farina.
Here.
Trustee Ogle.
Here.
Trustee Petro.
Here.
Trustee Severia. Is absent. Village Clerk Fury is here. Attorney Mahoney is absent. Attorney Lamore.
Present.
Chief Arica.
Present.
Village Administrator Pisha is absent.
Hi, Jeff, I got it.
Assistant Administrator Cook.
Present.
Okay.
We're not six.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
Of the United
States
States of America and
to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on our agenda is what we call the unanimous consent agenda. All items on the unanimous consent agenda are considered routine in nature and will be voted on after a single motion. If any of the trustees want to discuss any of the items in more detail, we'll just remove the item from the consent agenda. So I first ask, do any trustees want to remove any items from the consent agenda? Trustee Clavio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would request that item D, the 1 North White Street lease amendment, be removed from the consent agenda, please.
Very well. We will just remove that item from the consent agenda and discuss that separately. Anything else? Then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Ogle and a second by Trustee Farina to approve the consent agenda. We do want the people watching this broadcast at home or wherever they are on the internet or the television to know something about the items we're passing. So we'll go over each of them just briefly. The first item is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on June 1st. The second item is the approval of the bills, and we'll go to Trustee Petro for a report on those.
Thank you, Mayor Holland. The schedule of the bills for June 15th total is $776,257.87. Things that of our interest during these summer months are our annual insurance bill for our property, liability, and workman's comp insurance. The total for that is, as I post note it, $301,926 that will be paid out during this stage. We also had some discussion around the hanging flowers in downtown Frankfort, and that cost for the hanging flowers and planters was paid to ALSIP in the cost of $11,884, as well as the summer months spring grass mowing. So we do have our typical landscaper for mowing for our municipal properties and vacant lots that totaled $16,516. Thank you, Mayor Holland.
Thank you, Jessica. And then we have one item from the Economic Development Committee, and we'll go back to the chair of the Economic Development Committee, Jessica Petro, for a report on that.
Thank you. So tonight we are discussing the Silver Cross Development and Dedication Agreement proposed Pfeiffer Road Extension Project resolution. So this has been an ongoing discussion. At its May 13th, 2020 meeting, the Economic Development Committee discussed a development and dedication agreement between the Village of Frankfort and Silver Cross Hospital and Medical Centers. The agreement commits Silver Cross to dedicating right-of-way to the village for the construction of Pfeiffer Road between US Route 30 and the Lighthouse Point subdivision, subject to the terms of the agreement. The terms also set forth a process by which the village can evaluate the project without committing to its construction, but in the event the project is built, the agreement provides the village the ability to recapture a portion of the project cost from the future development. The extension of Pfeiffer Road is part of the village's long-range transportation plan and will help facilitate an economic development opportunities in the area, provide a key connection in the village's trail network that will serve many neighborhoods, position the village with a shovel-ready project for potential grant opportunities, and provide an alternate north-south route for police and emergency services in the community. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into development and dedication agreement with Silver Cross Hospital and Medical Centers with the modifications to the language in 4A1, 4A2, and 4B2, which have been provided. So the motion is to accept the Economic Development Committee recommendation and adopt the resolution authorizing the execution of a development and dedication agreement between the Village of Frankfort and Silver Cross Hospital and Medical Centers.
Thank you, Jessica. And then we go on to the Operations Committee, and we have quite a number of things from Operations this evening, and we'll go to the Margaret Farina for a report on that.
Thank you, Mayor Holland. Yes, there are quite a few items on this report. The first one is water meter reading equipment purchase approval resolution. At its June 10th, 2020 meeting, the Operations Committee considered a request from the Utilities Department to purchase a new water meter reading equipment. The village relies on a vehicle-based radio device system to acquire water usage data from customer water meters within the distribution system for billing purposes. The current system is beyond its useful life and is beginning to experience failures, which requires additional staff time to redrive meter reading routes. Core and Main provided a bid proposal for a Census FlexNet vehicle gateway base station package in the amount of $15,500. Core and Main is the sole source distributor of Census equipment. Therefore, proposals were not solicited from other vendors. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into an agreement with Core and Main in the amount of $15,500 to furnish a new Census FlexNet vehicle gateway base station. And the motion is to accept the recommendation of the Operations Committee and adopt a resolution authorizing an expenditure to Core and Main for the purchase of a Census FlexNet vehicle gateway base stations package in the amount not to exceed $15,500. The second item is Risk and Resilience Assessment and Emergency Response Plan Agreement Resolution. At the same meeting, the Operations Committee considered a professional services agreement proposal from HR Green Incorporated for Risk and Resilience Assessment, RRA, and an Emergency Response Plan, ERP. Section 2013 of America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018, AWIA, includes newly enacted requirements for community water systems serving more than 3,300 people to complete the RRA and ERP by June 30th, 2021 and December 30th, 2021, respectively. The village seeks assistance of HR Green to complete the RRA and development of an ERP per requirements of the AWIA. Did you get the acronyms? It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into an agreement with HR Green Incorporated for professional services for the preparation of the Risk and Resilience Assessment and Emergency Response Plan for the village's water system in the amount of $31,470. So the motion is to accept the recommendation of the Operations Committee and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with HR Green Incorporated for Risk and Resilience Assessment and Emergency Response Plan for the village's water system in accordance with the requirements of America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 in an amount not to exceed $31,470. The third item tonight to consider is North WWTP Groundwater Monitoring Agreement Resolution. The Operations Committee also reviewed a professional services agreement proposal from Robinson Engineering for groundwater monitoring at the village's North Wastewater Treatment Plant. As stipulated by the IEPA Water Pollution Control Permit 2018 AB-63518 issued to the village for the North WWTP excess flow storage ponds, the village is required to perform groundwater monitoring on a quarterly basis at the North WWTP site. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into an agreement with Robinson Engineering for professional services in the amount of $22,288 for groundwater monitoring at the North WWTP site. Thus, the motion is accept the recommendation of the Operations Committee and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Robinson Engineering in the amount of $22,288 for a 2-year period for groundwater monitoring at the North Wastewater Treatment Plant. Fourth item on this agenda here is Regional WWTP Centrifuge Maintenance Agreement Resolution. The Operations Committee also reviewed a 3-year maintenance agreement proposal from GEA Mechanical Equipment US Inc. to provide maintenance services for the centrifuges located at the village's regional WWTP. These centrifuges rotate at the high rates of speed to remove water from the digested sludge and require regular maintenance to help keep these devices in optimal working condition. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to enter into agreement with GEA Mechanical Equipment USA Inc. to provide maintenance services for the centrifuges located at the regional WWTP in the amount of $5,804.15 for minor services and $38,657.74 for major service. Thus, the motion is accept the recommendation of the Operations Committee and adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a 3-year maintenance agreement with GEA Mechanical Equipment US Inc. to provide maintenance services for the centrifuges located at the Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant in the amount of $5,804.15 for minor service for years 2020 and 21, and $38,657.74 for major service for year 2022. And the final item is Traffic Code Enforcement Amendment. First line item A, no parking from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. school days on Willow Street. Second B is speed limit 45 on Stager Road. And finally C, no trucks Stager Road. The Operations Committee also reviewed 3 recommendations from the Traffic Advisory Committee, known as TAC, for traffic control signage. The village was contacted by residents requesting parking restrictions along the west side of Willow Street due to students blocking the roadway and driveways. One resident was opposed to the request. TAC recommended no parking be permitted during school days from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the west side of Willow Street from Colorado Avenue to Ohio Road. The TAC also forwarded 2 traffic control recommendations for Stager Road west of Harlem Avenue to village limits. The roadway is currently posted 45 miles per hour. However, village ordinance does not reflect the posted speed limit. Additionally, the TAC recommended posting no truck signage on Stager Road due to a number of commercial trucks utilizing the roadway, noting this unimproved roadway was not designed for this type of traffic. It was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to adopt an amendment to the traffic code ordinance to reflect the installation of no parking signage on the west side of Willow Street as presented. It was also the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to adopt an amendment to the traffic code ordinance to reflect the posting of speed limit 45 signage on Stager Road, west of Harlem Avenue to village limits. And it was the consensus of the committee to forward a recommendation to the village board to adopt an amendment to the traffic code ordinance to reflect the posting of no truck signage on Stager Road west of Harlem Avenue to village limits. And the final motion is this: accept the recommendation of the Operations Committee, waive the first and second readings, and pass an ordinance amending the Village of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Title VII, Traffic Code Chapters 71 and 72, traffic control schedules to reflect the posting of no parking from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. school days on the west side of Willow Street from Colorado Avenue to Ohio Road, speed limit 45 on Stager Road west of Harlem Avenue to village limits, and no trucks on Stager Road west of Harlem Avenue to village limits. And that is all, Mayor Holland.
Thank you, Trustee Farina. And that are all of the items on our consent agenda this evening. So before we vote on those, are there any comments, any questions from the trustees? Then we'll go to our clerk, Brian Feary, for the vote.
Okay, Trustee Farina,
Yes.
Trustee Ogle,
Yes.
Trustee Petro,
Yes.
Trustee Clavio.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So we have one other item that we removed from the consent agenda, and that's from our Land Use and Policy Committee. So we'll go to the chair of the Land Use and Policy Committee, Trustee Ogle, for what we're going to do on that issue.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll very briefly go over this, but essentially this is going to be tabled or not voted on tonight. There's a 3/4 vote required, and that would be 5.25 people, or rounded up to 6. And we have 4 trustees and the mayor voting tonight. So we're unable to take action on this, but this is essentially a lease agreement for 1 North White Street. And I'll give a little summary of it, but this will be deferred till the next meeting. At our June 10th, 2020 meeting, the Land Use and Policy Committee considered a request from Corey Weaver, who is the tenant of a village-owned property at 1 North White Street, for a reduction in rent payments as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The vote will take at the next meeting, though. So.
Okay, procedurally, perhaps it's best to enter a motion to table this item until the July 6th meeting. Would that be appropriate, Hannah?
You can vote to postpone it, and then it'll be new business at the next board meeting.
Okay.
Vote to postpone it. Wow, perfect.
Okay.
Then
So-
we need a motion to postpone this issue.
All right, so I'll introduce the motion to postpone the lease agreement for 1 North White Street.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Ogle and a second by Trustee Petro. Any comments or discussion? Then we'll go to our clerk, Brian Feary, for the vote.
Trustee Clavio,
Yes.
Trustee Farina,
Yes.
Trustee Ogle,
Yes.
Trustee Petro.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings us to the part of our meeting we call the Mayor's Report. And the first item on the Mayor's Report is the fishing derby. And it's too bad. We need the pictures of the fishing derby on our screen somehow. But I don't know how we do that. You do need to go and look at the villageoffrankfort.com and find our FCTV and look at the video of the fishing derby. To be entered in the fishing derby, you had to submit a video of your child fishing and then show the size of the fish they caught. So it was really kind of a fun contest, and we had a number of people take part. And in the 8 to 12 age group, I have to bring up this first because it is the son of Trustee Farina. This is Luke Turka, who won the contest with a 6 1/4 inch fish. So congratulations to Luke. How exciting.
Very
That's awesome.
exciting.
Now, it's quite exceptional in the 3 to 7 age group. Braden Shalmo wins, and Braden lives on East Bowen Street, so he's very close to Prairie Park indeed. And believe it or not, this fish, you have to see the picture, it's 16 inches. I didn't know we had those kind of fish in that pond in Prairie Park. But there it is. Maybe he went somewhere else and brought, no, he wouldn't do that, I'm sure. But it's very impressive, Braden. And congratulations to both of our winners. And I hope the people who took part in this enjoyed it. And I hope it got some families out doing their social distancing and enjoying a little bit of fishing. Next item on the mayor's report is the Ripple program. Now that's the resident incentive for purchases to promote the local economy. Is that right? Yeah, I think I got it. Pretty good. This program says that any of our residents in a household that purchase $100 from a restaurant in Frankfort or $200 from one of our retail stores that had been closed by the governor's executive order can get $50 off their water bill. So you got to make the purchases in June and July, keep the receipts. There's a simple form to fill out. You can get it on our website and submit it, and you'll get $50 off your next water bill. It's designed to help these businesses that were closed down by the COVID-19 situation. And also, it's just recognizing that all of our residents are in this too, and so they get something. We think it's a neat program, and we hope that people take part in it. The Frankfort Park District's long run is going to be a virtual run this year, and that's the long run. No, it's the short run on a long day. That's the way they say that, because it's on the longest day of the year, usually. And the event takes place from June 17th to July 31st. And you have to go to the Park District. That's frankfortparks.org. And you can learn more about entering that event. And the Modified Country Market, we've had 2 Sundays now at the Country Market from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. We've controlled the number of people who can go into the market. And it has been busy. There have been lines to get in, and people are generally doing the right thing with social distancing, and they are wearing masks inside, although a few have come off, but they seem to go right back on, so good for them. I think our residents are doing a reasonably good job at practicing good practices here, and it's allowed our market to get started again. And I really do think people have enjoyed it, and the vendors are selling their goods, and people are getting excellent locally grown products. This is a true farmers market that we do not accept any products that are grown more than, I think it's 100 miles from Frankfort, so that has to be close by. Annual Beautification Award nominations are due by the end of the month, June 30th. So if you have a neighbor or you see a yard where somebody's gone to extra lengths to make their home look better, or their business, or whatever it is, even their homeowners association, nominate them. It's a very simple process. You can just send us a note if you like, or you can go onto our website and find a entry form for that. But all we need is an address or whoever it is, and that'll take care of it. So with that, we'll go to our police chief, John Barica, for the police department report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I just want to thank a few people. I want to thank the community members and businesses for all the cards, notes, calls, comments we've gotten, especially over the past few weeks. People have given us a lot of positive and good interactions they've had with the police department. That's really great for officers to see and see that positive side of it. I also want to thank the mayor, Trustee Ogle, and Commissioner Deidre Stokes for help with the PSA on police policies and practices. Also, of course, Kevin Del Grosso, who did a great job trying to make us all look good. But if you haven't seen the PSA, it helps to explain a little bit about how police operations work. Obviously, it doesn't go too in depth, but it gives you ideas about things that are controlled by state law and how we hire and things like that. So it's a good read, but if anybody has more questions, always feel free to reach out to the police department. I also want to remind residents, if they do have traffic concerns, obviously summer's here and we're out a little bit more. So if you have traffic concerns, you can always email traffic@frankfortil.org. If you email that, they get sent out to myself, one of our deputy chiefs, and a sergeant who's in charge of that. So if you have a concern or comment or anything comes up, you can email to that and we will respond to you and see what we can do to help resolve that issue or that problem. And then finally, of course, make sure you lock your cars, take your key fobs and keys inside, and put your garage doors down every night. No matter what's been going on, these crimes are still going on. So we've seen a slowdown, but let's stop them all together by making sure we do our part to keep us all safe. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, John. And we'll go to our Assistant Village Administrator, Jeff Cook, to see if we have any village administrators report this evening.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing I wanted to add to the discussion about the Ripple program. That program calls for purchases to occur at both retail and restaurant locations, $200 from retail and $100 at a restaurant. And while you can combine your receipts within the categories, you cannot cross-pollinate across those lines. So you can't use restaurant purchases to fill the gap on the retail. So just a point of clarity, the program does require $200 to be spent at one of our retailers that was closed during the pandemic, and then another $100 at a Frankfort restaurant. Secondly, I'd like to mention that this Wednesday, there will be a committee of the whole meeting at 7 o'clock. You can tune in on FCTV or live stream on YouTube. Committee of the whole will be discussing the extension of temporary outdoor permits on private and public property. And then lastly, I'd like to welcome Mr. Richard Gallus as our interim utility director. He's a professional engineer and certified floodplain manager with the Baxter and Woodman engineering firm. And he comes to us with 25 years of municipal construction and engineering experience to come in and oversee and manage the operation while we seek our next utility director. So welcome, Mr. Gallus. We're appreciative to have you here. And he's going to have a couple weeks of overlap with Director Stone while he gets up to speed. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jeff. And now we go to our village attorney, Hannah Lamore, for the village attorney's report.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. And that brings us to the part of our meeting we call other business. And this evening we'll start with John Clavio. Trustee Clavio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What's the emphasis on the John Clavio? Really tonight, we all know what's going on. The world is just a absolute, I don't want to say bizarre, but in chaos right now in many ways. And, I just wanted to extend a support and a huge thank you to Chief Barica and the police force of Frankfort. As all of you know, my occupation is an attorney, and many, many times other professionals in my same category are unethical, are judged, are terrible people, are made fun of, so on and so forth. But one bad apple in any profession does not make the whole profession bad. And people need to step back. They need to realize that. They need to take a picture, and they need to basically judge on their experiences, not live vicariously through others. So it's very important that we maintain the high level of respect, the high level of gratitude for those in public service. And I just wanted to extend that thank you to you, Chief, and your staff. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Great comment, John. Thank you. And Trustee Petro.
Thank you, Mayor Helen. I am excited to check out this 16-inch fish coming from Prairie Park. I'm very interested to see it. I did not know he had this big one, but apparently he had some good practice living as close to the pond. I love it. I just, again, want to recognize our ability to pivot during this time, whether, virtual fishing derbies, to committee meetings, really getting important work done, to the Frankfort Park District. I always look forward to the short run on a long day. It's something that we've always done as a family tradition. I think it's like a homegrown 5K here in Frankfort. So I'll certainly be registering, and hopefully it'll get me back running and into shape after all these COVID and quarantine days. So I just wanted to recognize that the market being opened, everyone practicing social distancing, following the guidelines that we have set out to keep everyone safe, but also offer the market and the goods to our community. Also, I have had the opportunity to enjoy our alfresco dining down on Kansas Street. I think you guys would have just laughed if you would have seen the kids' face when I said, do you want to go out to dinner? They thought I was, kidding, because it had just been so long since we'd all been able to go out and enjoy a meal. So I hope that those have been able to enjoy part of that, taking a picture of your receipts and submitting those back in for the Ripple program, along with the $200 in the retail. Thank you, Mayor Holland.
Thank you, Jessica. And Trustee Farina.
Thanks, Mayor Holland. Just a few items. The first is actually a question. The Congress passed the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And I understand that Will County received some relief funds and they're able to distribute them to businesses and localities in relief of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I was just wondering, is that something that will benefit Frankfort?
I believe, Trustee Farina, we're talking about the CARES Act money. And I believe that's correct. And yes, Will County did receive, I think, $120-something million. And it is to be distributed, further distributed locally. It is to go to governments. I don't know how they get it to businesses and such, but you're absolutely right. And they haven't come up with the rules on how they're going to do that.
Okay.
That's what's happened. And Jeff, I don't know if you know anything more about it.
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything further tonight.
Thanks for your feedback. And perhaps in a future committee meeting, we can just get an update on where Will County's at and the opportunity for Frankfort.
Absolutely. It's important money, and it's there, and it's supposed to come out. It's not supposed to stop at the county. It's supposed to move on to the local communities. So be very interesting to see how that works.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Just a couple more items. The first one is in relation to some negativity lately in our community. Recently, an individual had some mail sent out targeting her, releasing her address and phone number. And previous to that, I know another individual on a local governing body, his cell phone was published on Facebook in some community groups because of some decision-making that occurred on that governing body. I just want to acknowledge that, going through a pandemic, we're all going through a lot, and a little kindness goes a long way, but also just talking to one another rather than targeting one another. I don't think there's room for that in our community. And one thing I really appreciated about the last municipal election is all the candidates, there were 4 up for election for 3 seats, and we all stayed positive and we all talked about the issues. And I hope that people can realize that while we can disagree, we can agree to disagree and respectfully. So I just wanted to acknowledge what's happening in our community. And I don't think there's room for targeted negativity on Facebook or social media, as well as in the mailbox. I think if you have a beef with someone, pick up the phone and call them. And I know these 2 individuals are both willing to sit down with anyone and talk things through. So I just wanted to bring that to light and encourage our community members to just stay positive and reach out to each other and just talk if there's an issue or something. Finally, on an upbeat note, I just wanted to say Happy Father's Day. As I've sat on this board, I've gotten to know all the dads and granddad. Everyone here is such a dedicated father, and I hope you enjoy your day. Rob's not here, but I know he and Jean and Adam too are hands-on dads. So enjoy a nice long weekend, hopefully, with your family, and have a happy Father's Day. That's it.
Thank you, Margaret. And Trustee Ogle.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, certainly to piggyback on Trustee Farina's comment, fathers are very important. Mothers can't have family without the mother, but the father's role in supporting the mother and the family and just that whole unit. And I do wish all of our residents who are fathers or fill that role, wish them a happy Father's Day, as well as my colleagues on the board who are fathers. It's been great to see families out and about and enjoying the nice weather together, and coming to the restaurants, coming to the stores, seeing them out there. occasionally you recognize somebody because you can only see their eyes with the mask and everything else that's going on. Hopefully that'll end soon. And as we're moving towards this phase 4, which who knows when that will happen, we're kind of, I think, day to day on everything. We'll be perhaps moving our meetings back into the boardroom so that we can be live in front of everybody. Although a lot of people have commented they really do like this format, this Brady Bunch format. And it's interesting, and I don't mind this either. So again, I wish all those fathers and everyone who fills the role of a father out there a happy Father's Day. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Keith. And Clerk Fury.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to touch base and talk about the virtual run with the Park District. Every year is the short run and a long day is one of my favorite events, and unfortunately we can't have it this year. And it's super fun, but this event, if you're a runner, is going to be outstanding. So if you are a runner, or if not a runner, give it a shot. Maybe get into shape this summer. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. And that brings us to the part of our meeting we call public comments, and we'll go to our Assistant Village Administrator, Jeff Cook, to see if there are any.
We have not received any public comments for this meeting tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Ogle and a second by Trustee Farina to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then this meeting is adjourned.